Oklahoma Matters with Ed Kelly, sponsored by Capital West Securities.
In 1993, the first exchange-traded fund, or ETF, was introduced on the American Stock Exchange. Since then, ETFs have become an increasingly popular and practical investment vehicle. Contact Capital West Securities to learn more about ETFs and other investment options.
I'm Ed Kelly, editor of The Oklahoman. The end of the death penalty in Oklahoma and elsewhere seems one step closer. That's really no surprise, even though polls show Americans still support its use for the most grievous of crimes. And for nearly 20 years, Oklahoma and many of the other 35 states where the death penalty remains a legal form of punishment have used a lethal injection of drugs as a method of preference. That's instead of the electric chair and, in some cases, firing squads. And it is a homegrown compromise. Lethal injection is a method that was first created in the Oklahoma legislature in the late 1970s, after the U.S. Supreme Court eradicated death penalty statutes as unconstitutional at the time. But as the Wall Street Journal reports, a death penalty case in Ohio has opponents of capital punishment rallying their troops again. A man named Romel Broom killed a 14-year-old girl back in 1984. When the state finally got the go-ahead after all these years to execute Broom, it took 2 hours to try to access a vein in his body without success. Ohio's governor has now given Broom a reprieve as the state reviews the execution. So the debate over the use of lethal injection spawns a larger debate over the use of capital punishment in itself. Opponents say lethal injection is cruel and unusual punishment, as witnessed by the case in Ohio. But I and many others would argue that what Romel Broom did that teenage girl 25 years ago constituted cruel and unusual punishment too. Here in Oklahoma, the number of convicted killers put to death has dwindled to just a handful every year. The U.S. Supreme Court in recent years has begun to narrow the application of the death penalty, but it hasn't outlawed it entirely. But my feeling is the case in Ohio is just another step toward its ultimate abolition. It'll take a while, but I think that day will come.